See, today is my first day back on the and I got a secret to tell because this was a rude awakening for me. See all them nights that I sat up on that bunk and dreamed about this day? Now reality and hope just don't look the same. So instantly I'm drained. See, this is the first time in my life that I've ever felt the shame. See, I have to go live back at my mother's house, and including her, everybody in there, they want me out. See, they say I'm just another mouth to feed, and there isn't no place in there for me to sleep. And then the streets start to whisper to me, Lamont, come back. You ain't gotta live like that. The streets ain't changed. You still know this game. See, the streets keep calling me by my first name. And the other day I go see my parole officer, and she's telling me I got to do A, B, and C, or she gonna guarantee me they gonna take me back off the streets. And all I wanna do is say, Miss, just help me. But it seemed that she got her guards up like I'm here to make her job rough. So I keep my mouth closed and promise myself that I'ma do as I'm told. But then the streets start to whisper to me, Lamont, come back. You ain't gotta live like that. The streets ain't changed. You still know this game. See, the streets keep calling me by my first name. And all my buddies I thought was gonna take care of me when I came home, now they moving in that cell I just left, though they dead and gone. So I'm out here alone trying to fend for myself. And every time I look in your direction, you lower your eyes or your head. So from you, I can't get no help. And then the streets start to whisper to me, Lamont, come back. You ain't gotta live like that. The streets ain't changed. You still know this game. See, the streets keep calling me by my first name. And just last night, I was sitting on the edge of the bed trying to hold my brain inside my head. See, I'm starting to get weak. So the streets starting to get more visible to me. And then I remember this plan that I created when I was in jail, that I told myself, if I follow it from A to Z, it's going to better my chances when I get free. So I said, I'll try this plan again. A got me a job, B got my own spot. See, every time I touch the stage, I make sure that I leave it high. But I just hope tonight, when I lay down to go to sleep, that I'm not too weak, because the streets gonna be whispering to me, Lamont, come back. You ain't gotta live like that. And the sad part about it all is that the streets may never forget our name. Free her.
I guess a kind of general question with some particulars for each panelist. I want to pick up on what Bill Cobb just said, the need to change the hearts and minds, and wed that to something that Dr. Gaston said, which is that there's invisibility. So if we have the ability to fill in the picture a little bit more, since we do know that there's just been zero space for conversation about the crises facing girls of color. So we know that we're playing a real serious catch-up game, and that's what is necessary for our communities to help create the demand to push ahead the agendas that we've all been talking about.
Experiences of the women that we're here to support today. My mother did serve time behind bars, but she didn't serve a long-term sentence in a prison. I mean, she was gone often, but she wasn't gone for years at a time. So I consider myself fortunate because my mother returned home after a short while, but my heart goes out to the children and adults who haven't seen their mothers in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. I really shouldn't be able to go any higher, but the reality is that we have sisters sitting in prisons for decades, and it's time they come home. It's time they come home to reunite them with their families. It's time they come home to enroll them in programs that can help them heal. It's time they come home so they can claim back their lives.
That's right, Caleb.
This is why the Free Her Rally is so important. We need to shed light on and resolve these issues. Our mothers, grandmothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, and cousins are being torn from their families, uprooted from their communities, and the for-profit prisons are being filled with them. We should not believe that everything simply happens for a reason. No, there is a reason why everything happens. The 800% increase of incarcerated black women over the past few decades is a result of this war on drugs, which is really a war against black families and a war against families who live in poverty. But we're here today because this has personally affected us, or you know someone who has experienced this. And we want to make sure that our women will no longer be funneled into the prison system. It's amazing to see so many of us here today at the Free Her Rally, and we need this rally to raise awareness about the massive increase of incarcerated women. We need this rally to unify us around this issue because we face it collectively, and we're ready to change and improve our conditions. It will be a struggle, but okay, let's be real. Struggling is nothing new to us. My mother was in and out of jail so many times during my life, and it was just, talking about this story, I talk about it a lot, but it doesn't get any easier the more I talk about it. I haven't even been able to rebuild a relationship with her. But I understand that family is the foundation, and we simply can't build and maintain strong, healthy, and functional families when our women are being torn away. But at the Free Her Rally, we have sisters and some male supporters here who are ready to struggle and finally set our women free. Thank you.
I felt like if someone had done a crime, I thought they deserved the time. The more I understood about the prison system and how people get there, I realized that not everybody did something, or not everybody did something that was under their control, whether it was a mental health crisis, or whatever the case may be, that people end up in the prison system. Once you're there, it's so hard to get out if you don't have the supports. And so I'm free, myself personally, all of the volunteers that work with us, we're trying to be that support. I recently heard something about bars and nets, and let's stop talking about the bars and the nets and the ladders. So let's build ladders to help people out. And so we want to be the ones holding the ladders so that women can climb out of their difficult situations. I work with women who are incarcerated, and I'm a foster parent. And just from your paperwork, the connection between the women who we work with that are incarcerated, many of them have been in the foster care system, and then seeing the little ones on the other end who are missing their parents and just not feeling like they have a stable home or a stable upbringing, and there's just that connection between the two. And so I guess I want to be a change agent and make a difference on both ends, to the mothers who are suffering and the children who are suffering. And so it's important for me to be here so that not only my voice is heard, but that I can hear other people's voices and know what's important to them, and we can all work together to affect change.
And working with women that are incarcerated, could you share how you feel about that whole process?
How do I feel about the process? Well, it's, I have to say, the more that I've learned, I don't know if it's the more angry I am, but the more determined I am. There are huge injustices
ran into a situation where my daughter's school was trying to push her out. And I'm an advocate, and I'm really involved in education in our city. And when it came time, I just told the school, no, you're not doing that. I don't agree. We have to figure something else out. And in doing that, it really opened my eyes that there are a lot of parents who don't do that, who don't know that they have that power. And so I just thought that it was important that I be here just to be engulfed in this empowerment. And
I am Bill Cobb, and today I am serving as a champion of Ardella's House. Ardella's House was founded in 2010 by Tony Willis after she interacted with a friend who had just served 10 years in prison. So she began volunteering at Riverside Correctional Facility and discovered that Black women were the fastest growing population of prisoners in that particular facility, but also in America. So in America today, throughout most of our nation's history, women who have been in conflict with the criminal justice system have been largely invisible or forgotten. In a system designed to punish or rehabilitate men, females face a myriad of issues upon re-entering in the city of Philadelphia. So between 1980 and 1993, the growth rate for the female prison population increased approximately 313%. And that's in comparison to 182% for men during the same period. At the end of 1993, women accounted for 5.8% of the total prison population and 9.8% of the jail population nationwide. Women prisoners are disproportionately women of color, with African American women comprising 46% of their population nationwide, white women comprising 36%, Hispanic women comprising 14%. Incarcerated women are extremely poor. The majority of these women prisoners and women in jail are unemployed prior to incarceration. And then when women go to jail, it has a far more devastating impact on the family because they are usually the custodial parents of children. In almost all cases, when women go to prison and they are pregnant, in almost all cases they are abruptly separated from their child and never provided the opportunity to bond. Women prisoners report significant histories of domestic violence. 32% of women serving sentences for murder, where they actually murdered their husband, were actually victims of violence as well. So because few prison facilities for women are built, many women have to go very far away from their families during that incarceration, making it difficult for them to maintain a bond with their family and their communities. While new initiatives such as My Brother Keepers look to offset the damage of mass incarceration, particularly for men and men of color who have been disproportionately incarcerated, the amount of resources are still nowhere near adequate to address the damage that's done. And now we see our men, our women, and girls of color following the same pattern. And we are not prepared to deal with them upon arriving back into society. Thank you.
Dr. Gass.
Hi everyone, my name is Olivia Williams, and I am one of many youth who suffered from the school to prison pipeline. I went to University City, and we did not have anything there basically, like not enough books, teachers, the classroom was overcrowded, so the teachers couldn't teach us, she couldn't get to me, I needed help with my work, my schooling. There wasn't enough counselors to see us. And then, you know, West Philadelphia used to have gangs, and it was like down the bottom versus 60th Street all the time, and I used to get picked on, and I hated going to school because of those things. That I didn't have the resources that I needed. So I wound up in jail for a fight for me being picked on, and someone was murdered. And I had nothing to do with it, but I was charged because I was 17 years old and I was scared to say who did it. So I was charged with everything that the person who did it was, and I was up at Riverside Correctional Facility, RCF, for women, fighting a homicide that I did not commit, but I was scared for my life and for my family life if I told and said something. I was there for 18 months fighting my case. I was getting picked on there. We're isolated. We're in a block called the lock unit, where the adults come down when they misbehave in population, regular population, where they fighting, they're stealing, they're just doing anything up there. And we're witnessing the same things that they're doing upstairs, they're doing it down here. I witnessed people getting hurt. I witnessed COs jumping other inmates. I witnessed somebody get stabbed in the eyes and shackled and stuff like that. And even though we're isolated, we're still seeing that. The block kept me up all night. It's banging, it's loud. It's scary for a youth that's there. And they're being the first time going through anything like that. Also, upstate, it's different. They're not isolated. They're with the adults, so they're getting really beat on. They're getting raped.
Right. What can we do to make visible the impact of what's transpiring in Black women today, as visible as the impact of Black men recently being realized that we're missing? Mass incarceration has grown exponentially in the last 40 years, and just this year, we're talking about 1.5 men not present. So if it's taken us 40 years to realize that Black men were missing from their households, will it take another 40 years to realize that Black women are missing from our households? And then will it take another 40 years to realize that Black people are missing from our planet? So what I really want everyone to be mindful of is that as a husband and as a father of daughters, and as a husband of a woman, when I went to prison, a family member was missing. If my daughter goes to prison, a family member is missing. So our perspective to look at it divided in terms of whether it's a Black male, whether it's a Black female. The truth of the matter is that we've left our families unguarded, and we haven't really raised hell about any particular member missing unless it's actually happened to our own family inside of our own houses. So imagine how each of you would respond today if your neighbor's husband went missing. You know that they're really struggling because he's gone. The daughter is missing. That family is missing something. So I say that when any member of the human race goes missing, it's incumbent upon us to raise hell. And once we begin doing that consistently, then the problem that you present is no longer a problem.
Okay, Ms. Andrea James, we present this plaque to you for outstanding leadership in the fight for justice and for incarcerated women, awarded to the Wire women awarded by the Wire women involved in the reentry efforts, June 2014.
I'm gonna take a moment to plug Yusef Keith over there walking around with his Maya Angelou t-shirts on his shoulders. This is original design by Mr. Keith, and proceeds from these t-shirts, donations from these t-shirts will go to support The Wire in our efforts to support incarcerated women and women returning from incarceration. And lastly, let me give a shout out to all my wild ladies and my godmother. I call her my godmother now. She used to be my prison mother. Served 19 years in prison. She been crying all day long, Montwine. And then we're going to call Lamont up here.
They don't have education for our youth. I know the female young ladies that were there, RCF, they took our education away. I had a couple more credits to graduate. I was 17 years old, and they kicked me out of high school because I turned 18, and I did not get my high school diploma. But there was a teacher there that did help me get my GED because she seen the potential in me, and also the judge seen the potential in me. It's not right to lock youth up with other adults, knowing what's going to happen. I'm not saying that what they did wasn't wrong, but they should be put in their own facility to not go through the suffering and beatings because they don't know what's going on at home. It's like at home,
Away people. And I think a lot of people look at the women and go, oh, you know, she must have done something to get her to end up in jail. And for me, it's like, how about the stuff that was done to her before she even got there? I mean, a lot of the women who are in jail are there because they are traumatized. A lot of them have mental health challenges. And I would too if I'd gone through a lot of what some of the women have gone through. And so their way of coping, unfortunately, sometimes is not they can't find the resources they need to cope with some of the situations. So they try to deal with it themselves by, using substances. And so they find themselves in a situation and then they end up in jail. And that, I don't want to continue to put women who need mental health support behind the walls because they can't afford that. I think it's asinine to do that.
I say their names for all the names I'll never know. Say their names like girls matter. Say their names like women matter.
Feel it move in your hand. And bring your attention right there. We can't run from what we feel. So feel your life and the preciousness of it right now, right here. Take a deep breath into your body. Breathe deeply past your nose, past your throat, down into your heart, all the way to your toes. Breathe in the sorrow. Breathe in the pain. Breathe out compassion. Breathe out love. Breathe in every strike against yellow women's bodies, red women's bodies, white women's bodies. Breathe it into you. And with your hand on your heart, transform it. So that what you breathe back out into this world is compassion and kindness.
Exploring different issues and concerns. I'm finding so many different mentalities that it seems challenging. I don't say hard because the only thing hard is the concrete that we walk on. Everything else is a challenge. So I'm ready for this challenge, and I was built for this. I think that we all have a purpose in life, and mine's going to take on a task that most back away from. That impossible. When people say it's impossible, I see possibilities. I don't see anything as being impossible. Mentalities, there are different mentalities, but just like there's different ways to teach people how to read, there's different ways to communicate people. There's different ways to communicate people and their different mentalities. So I do see hope. I see hope in us all coming together and understanding each other and learning to respect